to the M2 podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host over here, Mr. KyleHeath. This is pretty much where we're going to be covering esports personalities, gaming industry related news, new and upcoming games, and technology innovation for this week. And I think we're on geez, I don't even know. We're on February 16th right now, the time we're recording. And what we like to do is just get a quick rundown of what have we been up with? What are the updates? I know you've been playing new games, Kyle,
Oh,
specifically Hogwarts Legacy.
have I been
But I want
stealing
to
my
hear.
thunder? And I'm just
I
kidding.
want to hear. Tell me what's going on.
All right. This past week, I've been grinding Hogwarts Legacy. You heard Mike say it. Yeah, dude, I picked it. It was one of those games. Funny enough, I was kind of on the fence. I was like, I want to play it, but I'm like, I don't want to spend that kind of money like on that game when I'm not like super into like the Harry Potter stuff. But from what I read, it was like it's nothing really to do with the main characters. It's like set way before like the actual movies and whatnot and those characters. So it's a whole. It's you're just stepping into a different story. Anyways, but yeah, I saw all that and like leading up to it, I heard reviews were actually pretty decent. So I was like, all right, yeah, let's give this a shot. And yeah, I've been enjoying it, dude. I've been low key addicted. Not gonna lie, playing like almost every day and. At this point, 10 hours in. Yeah, dude, it's been a lot of fun. That's for sure.
I heard so many good things about it. Like people are saying it's gonna win Game of the Year. I'm like,
I've been seeing those conversations too.
They need to chill.
That's
There's a
what
lot of
I'm
good
saying.
games
Yeah,
coming out this year.
dude, that's the thing. I definitely am not. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's like, oh, this is definitely gonna be Game of the Year. Like, I don't know. I have doubts that it will be. I don't think it's gonna be Game of the Year. Would it be like a nominee? Maybe. I can definitely see that, but like, I don't know. It depends on everything else goes. But we have a lot coming out this year between like Starfield and
Facts.
Atomic Hearts is coming out next week. I know that's like a huge like game,
Yeah.
but I mean that looks pretty decent from what I've seen. Yeah, we have a lot of it. Dead Island 2 is finally gonna be a thing. We don't know like how that's gonna be with all the delays and stuff, but I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of like AAA titles coming out this year, so who knows? But at least for right now, Hogwarts Legacy has been a lot of fun. I'll definitely speak a little more about it and kind of give my like full-fledged thoughts hopefully at some point in today's show. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of that, and that's about all I've been playing. I don't think I've really touched anything else. I've just been grinding that and just getting. It's just I don't know. It's addicting. It's an RPG, and I've been wanting an RPG for a while, and this is just fitting that bill perfectly for me. So, I'm on Cloud9 right now.
Literally,
See?
you're wearing the gear. For the people that are just listening, this man's wearing a Cloud9 shirt.
Yeah. So, dude, I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. I don't know,
That's
Mike.
good,
I
man.
know you've been playing some games too. But what's this? What's the
Yes.
week been looking like for you?
All right. So my week has been kind of busy, kind of hectic, right? So let's get started. Like, obviously, got a haircut, which is pretty sick. Hadn't had a haircut in about like 4 months. So this is what my hairstyle used to be like forever. So chopped off the long hair. That's good. But actual games, man, the new thing that I've been trying to do, and I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast last week or the week before, but I've soft modded my original Xbox, and I'm trying to upgrade the hard drive to it. Did I mention this at all?
I think you
I don't
did.
remember if I
I
did.
remember talking about messing with an Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah, so I soft modded it, and I've changed all the things that you got to change to upgrade to a larger hard drive because I want to do add a bunch of emulators. I want to add like the entire Xbox, what's it called? All the different games that they have, the Xbox library, onto the games or onto the hard drive. But the problem is like my Xbox power supply is kind of chalked and doesn't work properly. So I got to figure out a way
Uh,
to do it on the PC first and then move it over. And I think there's a way. I think I found out today that there's a way. So I'm pretty excited to get to that. I've been playing a little bit of Halo 2. I've been playing Halo Infinite, which came out with an update yesterday, which I feel has broken the game. The team that I was coaching for HCS imploded, to say the least. And I'm to the point where I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll stop coaching. I'll start competing. I mean, Charlotte's likely going to be my last HCS event. And I get on the game. It crashed like 3 times in a row. My screen is like going to black randomly and like tabbing me out of the game because my GPU is spiking to 100% just randomly as well.
hmm.
It's like it gets really sluggish. in like certain instances of the game, and then I can tell like maybe 5 seconds later, all black, tab out. And
That is so odd, man.
yeah, it
Uh,
happened. Excuse me, it happened a few times, and I basically was like, all right, well, Alt F4 out of that, and then moved over, went to Halo 2 for a little bit. The big thing that I need to report on is I've been using the PlayStation 5 Edge controller. Big
yes,
fan.
sir.
Big fan.
Okay, I like
The
that.
the joysticks are really, really good, responsive, very precise. There's not like I don't think there's any stick drift at all, which is good because they're also like modular sticks. You can take them out and replace them.
Yeah.
And the buttons on the back, they're like in a really good position. I'm used to the Thrustmaster, and for people that like think that controller's a meme, it's like it's a really good analog styled and also modular gamepad. And it has 4 buttons on the back, and I'm used to the 4 buttons. Unfortunately, the PS5 really only has 2 back buttons. They have like paddles and these like little switches that you can like put on there in place of the paddles. It's really cool. It's really comfortable. They do, I gotta say, they do have 2 buttons underneath the joysticks, like on the front facing. If that makes sense. Like
Mm.
they're not bad. They're a good controller. I'm pretty pleased with it. They updated a couple of different apps that let me program it on the PC without needing a PlayStation, which I don't own a PlayStation. So that was very, very nice to know
Yeah.
that I can use like a couple of apps from Steam. I think I had to pay $5 for DSX. So that was pretty cool. What else have I been on? Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I've had going on recently. I did find out something that's worth mentioning for the podcast, and I want to do some research on. Is you know how joysticks work on controllers?
Yes.
They're like piezoelectric materials, or what are they called? You might know the term, but it's basically like when the joystick moves a certain way, it's a resistor. So when the voltages change because you're literally bending the resistors while moving the joysticks, it's like a mechanical kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's pretty archaic. It's been a system that's been in use forever. Um, but I found a new controller by 8-bit and also some name of a company I can't really say right now. They use magnets, which means that there's no stick drift whatsoever. Like ever,
Dang.
ever.
Okay.
So I'm looking at that as a possible option. They're apparently perfect for people that on the Nintendo Switch because stick drift is really, really bad on the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I can imagine.
yeah. So I'll find I actually know the name. Hold on. It's in a recent DM. So if anybody's actually interested and wants to look this up, it is called the Gilly Kit King Kong 2 Pro, and they use electromagnetic sticks for the joysticks. And there's no stick drift whatsoever. It works with your PC and it works with a Nintendo Switch. So that's pretty cool to see. And also, 8-Bit Do has like a pro controller that does the same thing. So for people that use gamepads and controllers, that's something I learned literally today, like 2 hours ago. So yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. I mean,
but I'll stop rambling.
yeah.
That's what I've been up to.
I think that makes sense though. Like I was just thinking about how like magnets would work and like a controller like that, but it makes sense how it just would eliminate stick drift, right? Because I mean those magnets that's just gonna be like a constant like just it's
Yeah,
just hung there. So that makes sense. Makes
yeah.
sense.
It's like a fixed point that's always going to work.
Yeah. Sounds
Um,
like it.
y- yeah, I found some nutty stuff on AliExpress, dude. My goodness, I'll
I
have
haven't
to tell you
shopped on
about
I
later.
haven't shopped on there in ages. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
We'll talk about that later, though.
For sure, for sure.
So, what have we found for the news? I know there were some big announcements this week.
There were some big
Um,
announcements. There was one that happened today that we'll talk about. And that's the top story probably, so we'll get to that later.
yeah, that's a
Anyway,
fact.
but we're gonna start off with some news on cons, specifically TwitchCon. He found out about this today as well. So, I mean, it's a pretty short article. Like that's if you're watching the video version, this is literally the whole thing, just like this thing right
Yeah,
here.
it's short and sweet.
But there's a lot to talk about, I think. And that is that TwitchCon is switching their locations for 2023. For the first time ever, France is going to be hosting a TwitchCon Paris. in July 8th through 9th. And then North America, TwitchCon is no longer, I think it was at San Diego originally, or it was like always
It
around that
was, or
area.
like Anaheim or
Yeah.
something.
But now it is heading to Vegas. It's like a debut in Vegas this year. I guess like kind of the CES vibes. I think CES is Vegas. Um, but yeah, that's from the 20th to the 22nd of October is when that event's happening. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's, your typical TwitchCon, you got, it says an epic celebration of streamers, games, chatters, mods, cosplayers, communities, and more that bring us all together. It's a weekend filled with awesome live performances, esports showdowns, official streamer meet and greet sessions, artists showcasing their creations, and since it's all happening live and in person, plenty of surprises along the way. Yeah, I mean, also at TwitchCon, there's normally announcements about upcoming features for the platform and stuff like that. And normally that's like the huge grandiose stage. They do like the huge announcements for that. But yeah, I mean, there's always parties there. I think I'll always remember, it may have been like 2018 or 2019, Blink-182 played there. One of my one of my favorite bands. So didn't go sadly, but they have artists like that play there. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But I think it's interesting that they're going to Vegas, and I feel like
Yeah.
I noticed Vegas is getting a lot of love, especially over the past past like few years. It seems like not only in this space, but also in like sports and just tech and all that. Like it's been getting there's been a lot of stuff moving to the Vegas area, which I think makes sense because it is Vegas. How much revenue they between gambling and everything that they accumulate every year, and it makes sense that more things will want to go there. So I mean, I don't know. But what do you think about a bunch of gamers going to Las Vegas, Mike? I mean, 'cause to me, this is like it sounds exciting. I don't know if I actually end up going. Probably not. But I mean, I mean, Vegas is always a good time, though. I think if you're responsible, right?
Oh, for sure. Well, you don't like Vegas is so big now, and there's so many things going on in Vegas that you don't have to gamble to have a good time.
It's true.
Like there's shows almost every single night. They have tons of good restaurants if you're into food. It's like most of the stuff that you're going to be doing, like you're going to be doing all inside the casinos, but the casinos have their own set of entertainment that you don't need to actually gamble at,
Yeah,
which is
it's
very
true.
nice. I do think it's very interesting that they're choosing to go to Vegas only for the fact that Twitch has been very anti-gambling on their platform the last
That's
year,
actually
and
a
they're
solid
like,
point. Yeah.
why are we doing this? I mean, I
Yeah.
understand why they picked Vegas though. Don't get me wrong. Like Vegas is popping right now.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, we had an NFL team that moved there
Yeah.
recently. There was like conferences have been going on in Vegas for the longest time, like all in all these different industries. So it's not that big of a deal that it's like TwitchCon going there, but it's also kind of a big deal because Twitch is supposed to be anti-gambling, you
Yeah.
know?
It's a very solid point. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think about that, but yeah, there's like, I mean, also in Vegas is where like most like residencies are for artists. So like, there's just artists that'll take up one
Exactly.
place for a little while and just play there every day, and like DJs and stuff. It's great for music. But yeah, it is very odd, right? Because they just recently had the policy changes for gambling and not pretty much banning it for the most part, other than like poker and
Yep.
anything, some other stuff. So yeah, it's kind of ironic, and it's something I didn't initially realize. But yeah, it's a little odd, but I mean, I think overall, I mean, more stuff in Vegas, like cool. There's tons of stuff to do there. That's not just TwitchCon as well, which is like I think when you go to a city like that, it's like for me, it's like if I go to a city like that, it's like I don't know if I don't know if I'd be at TwitchCon all 3 days. I'd probably be like, doing some other
Facts.
things,
Yeah.
like head to the casino or like trying to see who is in town, like for shows and stuff like that.
That's
'Cause,
a
yeah,
that's a good point. Like Vegas is like a top tier place to go visit in the world.
yeah,
Same thing with Paris.
right, yeah,
So it kind of makes you wonder, like if I'm going to Paris as an American, I'm not just going to TwitchCon.
yeah, yeah, definitely not.
There's no shot.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's a good
yeah,
point too. I mean, yeah, dude, I'm trying to see the Eiffel Tower and whatever, the city of this is
Versailles, man.
city of
Go to the
romance.
catacombs, dude.
Yeah, right, like
To go like to all the museums, go have some good food. There
yeah,
are
dude,
different options you can do. And if you're in Vegas, I mean, you got to be doing stuff like that as well. I mean, it's the same
yeah,
thing with like why
true,
Orlando is such a popular place. They have so many amusement parks there, but they also have like the infrastructure for all the convention centers,
yeah.
and like having events is perfect for it. So I'm sure Vegas was a cheap option, especially in October.
Yeah.
So at the end of October, there's no pool parties. People aren't going out there just to enjoy the weather, you know.
Yeah. It's true.
Probably to escape it if you're
Uh,
up in Canada or something real cold
yeah.
when it starts to
Dude,
get chilly and
like
gloomy.
if there's one thing that's gonna come out of this, it is that this is probably gonna be some of the best IRL content we've ever seen on the Twitch platform, I
Oh,
feel like.
well, not necessarily true. That's a good point because you can't film on the floor if
It's
you're
true.
gambling.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that. Like casinos and stuff, obviously, like if you're at a
Yeah.
table or something, you can't have anything like that out. So
No,
that's
you have
part
to
of.
stand back.
See, that's part of the thing of like if people, there's gonna be probably people that don't like do the research or don't know that,
Oh,
and so there's gonna
guaranteed.
be,
Yeah.
and so there's gonna be people getting thrown out and stuff. Now that is also content, my friend.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how people fare, but yeah, um, I don't know if there was any like I would much rather go to Vegas than like probably Cali. Like that's just me though, so I can
Same.
imagine there's probably a ton of people that are gonna be like, well, it's not in Cali this year, so I might as well go, kind of thing, or might as well check this out if they've never been. So
It's more centralized, I think, and you have more options for flights.
yeah, that's for
And
sure.
you don't have to deal with that level of traffic, man. Like California traffic's on a
Also
different
very true,
level.
dude. I mean, you're in a desert, right? You ain't going many other
Facts.
places. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yo, cool thing about Vegas that I learned probably in the last year. Um, Vegas is one of the most uh, water efficient cities on the planet. Like every
interesting.
bit of water that they use to the full capacity of it, and they recycle it all the time. So they actually like save a ton of water. And you would think all those fountains and everything out there,
Yeah,
and like people watering lawns, it's like most of the lawns are fake. They're not really watering it.
yeah.
It's
It's like
like
fake grass. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
turf.
it's like really nuts how much water they don't waste
um,
to be put up on that list.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So it's a wondrous place, isn't it, Mike? Just so many
It
different
is.
ins and outs, and yeah,
It is, man. You got to get
Sin
out there and see
City.
some shows if you're going though.
True. You have to. You have to. I know we got a something that might be kind of downhill, Mike. Huh? Just a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay, so this next article is coming from the Video Game Chronicles, which we have covered several times. And we butcher this man's name every time. Have you noticed this? Chris Scullion?
Hmm.
Was it Chris Scullion?
Yeah.
So this article is titled MultiVersus Daily Peak Steam Player Count has dropped more than 99% since launch. The game dropped below a daily peak of 1,000 players for the first time this week. Dude, I didn't know it was that low.
Dude.
That's nuts.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. All right, so let's get into it. The game enjoyed an extremely successful launch with a peak of more than 143,000 players on Steam on day one, rising up to 153,433 the following day. A month after its launch, Warner Brothers stated that over 20 million people had already downloaded and played the game, suggesting a strong player base, which to build on. Since then, however, the daily peak player count has been steadily dropping to the extent that this week it dipped below 1,000 for the first time. So, hitting 986 on Monday. Dude, this marks a daily drop player count of 99.3574% in less than 7 months. This man pulled out a calculator and he typed that out. So, for those of you that don't know, Multiverse is basically a style of, would you call it a platformer fighting game?
Oh yeah, I would definitely
Probably,
call
right?
it that. Yeah.
Platformer fighting game that is very similar to something like Super Smash Bros. But they have characters from multiple different universes. So you got like Rick and Morty, Gizmo, Stripe, Black Adam. You can play as Scooby Doo and Shaggy, Superman. Like it's all over the place. It kind of reminds people of Brawlhalla,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, it's pretty intense skill game. Are you surprised that the game has fallen down that much below 1,000?
I mean, below 1,000, yeah. Not like that's pretty
Yeah,
low. Like, I didn't. I like if you would have asked me like without knowing this, like what the average player count of like multiverses was, I'd be like, oh, I mean, probably at least like 10,000, like right, like surely, right at that. But dude, it's dipping this low. I mean, it's crazy. It makes you wonder, some of these all these games we're hearing about are sunsetting and getting canceled and all that. It's like makes you wonder, like, what
Yeah.
were their player counts like? Was it something? Was it anything like MultiVersus, where it's like it's just criminally low to the point where they can't really support it anymore? Um, but I mean, I did it's a fighting game, but it seemed for the most part, I mean, it popped off, and they mentioned that, when it first dropped. I mean, it was I saw it everywhere, and then surely enough, after just I guess a couple of months, it just kind of just went downhill. Um, I mean, fighting games, it's already. I feel like fighting games is already a market. Like, you have like the Smash and stuff like that, which is huge, and that's probably
Yeah.
what takes a majority of it. I mean, you have like Tekken and Street Fighter and like Mortal Kombat. You have all these like different fighting games, and there's it definitely is a saturated genre, but it's also but like something like this, it's like it's smart because it's like Smash, where like you have all these recognizable characters and all these recognizable figures, so it's like it brings in that draw for people who want to try and like try and play as those characters. And it's like it's the best opportunity for like a crossover style game as a fighting game. So yeah, I'm definitely surprised that it's only under like it's not even pulling barely 1,000 at like granted probably not peak hours, but still it's like definitely surprised. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, there's a couple of things to note too, and maybe you might know this. Did Multiversus have drops on Twitch?
That's a good
Do you
question. I don't
remember?
think so. I mean, I wasn't aware of any, but I don't think so.
So one of the reasons why I asked that is because yeah, so one of the reasons why I asked that is because remember how we covered last week how Harry Potter broke the record for most amount of people watching on Twitch?
Yeah.
What we didn't mention, and one of the things that I wasn't really aware of, is that Harry Potter had drops on Twitch,
Yeah.
and Harry Potter beat the record only slightly by Elden Ring, right? They beat Elden Ring slightly, and Elden Ring did not have drops. So it makes you wonder if Elden Ring had drops, would it have gotten even more viewers? Because
I'm sure
remember,
it would have.
Valorant
Yeah.
was the previous holder of that, and I saw people like live streaming Valorant 24/7 for the drops and had like 200,000 people watching them.
Yeah.
You
Some
know?
not even playing the game, just throwing up
Yeah,
VODs.
yeah, just throwing up VODs the entire time, and it was like it's weird, man. Making
But see,
bank too.
that's the crazy thing is with Valorant, it was a beta key for the game. Like that's what it was originally like. That's why so many people were like on Twitch watching it. It's because like, oh, dude, this looks like a really good shooter. Like
Yeah, waiting
and
for it,
it's a
waiting for the drop.
different like tactical shooter too. So it's like, I mean, and when you put that out in beta, oh by the way, if you watch Twitch streams, you could have a chance to win it. And then eventually they made it. They're like, okay, this is like I think part of it too is like it was getting out of hand to the point of like, all right, people are just like abusing this like really hard, like
Yeah,
streamers are. So they just eventually said, okay, if you watch a certain amount of hours, we'll give you the key no matter what. And then that kind of slowed it down. But yeah, I mean the whole Twitch drop meta was insane. And then I mean of course Hogwarts Legacy, I saw there was like some cosmetic items I think that were available to drops
yeah.
and
I
yeah,
think I got
it's
a pair of glasses or something, and I don't have the game yet. I just got the
here you
code.
go. Yeah. But yeah, I mean
Um,
there's some stuff like that. I mean, Elden Ring surely would have. Any game that offers drops, there's no way it doesn't do well on Twitch because people just
yeah,
want anything that game has to offer. And if you could sit there and just watch something, I mean, that's literally like free real estate. Might as well just watch it just to get the item. So yeah, drops are always cool, but I certainly think if Elden Ring would have had drops, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind, especially on Twitch, it would have like popped off, and
yeah.
not like it didn't already, but would have been way more. I think. You think with like Cyberpunk too. I'm trying to remember. Did Cyberpunk have drops? I can't remember. Feel like they didn't, but I don't. I mean, it
I
still
don't think they did.
did really
No.
well. It's like one of the highest like few things.
Yeah,
Because I think with Hogwarts Legacy out and like it doing so well on Twitch, there was like a huge thing of like having over was like 1.2 million views or something like that. It
yeah,
did better than Cyberpunk, and that was like the metric.
yeah. That's a
Um,
good point.
yeah. Um.
Yeah, I think getting back to multiverses here, I had to actually check. Is they say that MultiVersus' direct competitor. Well, there's two things I should mention. Their direct competitor is Brawlhalla. Brawlhalla is free, so is MultiVersus, which wouldn't really prevent people to get on the game for the first time. I think one of the criticisms that they did have was they had a game monetization practice or system where if you wanted premium cosmetics, and in this article they actually show it, is a premium cosmetic for Superman where he's basically plated in gold. That costs $15. I understand it's a free to play game, but I feel like some people play free to play games because they don't have money. So when they see that $15 like skin, they get a little bit upset. Like, Fortnite's free to play too, and some of their skins are like less than $2, $2 or $3.
Yeah.
And the idea is just to get as many people to spend $2 as much as possible. Because $2 is way easier entry point than 15,
Yeah.
you know?
See, this is the thing. I think if they had a skin, and I never played the game, so I don't know if this already exists. If they had like a Clark Kent version of Superman, where it was like maybe like the ripped, it's like Clark Kent outfit, ripped shirt, you see the S through like it, like something sick like that like had some you see like took time to do and had like a lot of nuance to it. If there was something like that, $15, okay, definitely too expensive, but like, all right, like I can kind of like see why they would charge like a lot for that. But like, dude, if you're just slapping a gold like color on him, making his eyes yellow, like to me, that's just like that should be like $2, like or like that should be like a challenge reward in the game or something like that. I feel like that shouldn't be $15 for a gold plated Superman. I just think it's ridiculous. Like I think there's a lot of games that do skins well. I think the thing about Fortnite, what I think justifies the price tag on some of their skins is like you could tell that time and detail was put into the actual skin to make it look vastly different than anything else that's been on the market before. Which I been on the been on the Fortnite market before, which I think is part of that. I mean, but I mean, speaking of Valorant, like Valorant, they do gun skins and gun collections where you can buy like skin collections and stuff on guns, but like it's not only do some of the skins actually change the way the gun visually looks, but it also adds like reload animations and different like pull out animations. There's a lot of stuff they add on to it that like justifies those higher price tags. Am I saying that those price tags are justified though, even with all that stuff? I mean, that's debatable, but I mean,
Sure.
the point is, if you're gonna charge this kind of premium for something, you better go above and beyond like the gamers or like the consumer's expectation. And I think that's where those games shine, and where this is just like, what are we doing?
That's a good point. I did just so to piggyback off of that for $5 more, so $20 skin. I went ahead and found the other Superman variant. They have a Black Lantern variant,
Okay.
which I'll actually let me send this to you so you can show people on stream. Check your Discord DMs for that. It looks pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, it looks like an evil version of Superman that's been possessed by the Black Lantern. Obviously, a segment off of Green Lantern. And I think it's pretty fascinating. It looks pretty cool. The animation looks sick. But my man, $20. $20 for a skin,
All
you know
right.
what I mean? So
Let's see if I can do this real quick.
widescreen it for the people.
All right. So this is the $20 skin that Mr. MadMike is referring to. You said this is $20. Okay. I see. This is there's definitely a lot more detail than the gold skin.
Yes.
Now,
It's hard to say,
is there
right?
no other way to like redeem this other than just paying $20?
That's a good question. I assume if free to play games historically would tell me no shot. That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
Um, maybe they have a really good battle pass where if you grind long enough, you can actually get through it.
Yeah.
That's actually a problem right now. They extended their current season 2 by it's somewhere in this article. I literally just read it, and I think it was something like a month, possibly. Let me extend.
Oh man.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where it was, but basically they extended the season 2 because people didn't finish all of their battle pass. And here for reference, in season 1 they released, let's see, they released 5 new characters
Right.
for the game. Season 2, they've only released 1 character, and that came out in November 15th. So, that's a long time to not really come out with other characters. Here it is. Season 3 was supposed to start yesterday, but developer Player First Games delayed it to March 31st. So they basically delayed it a month and a half, 2 months. Um, and they gave the reason that they want to give more people more time to complete their season 2 battle pass. So,
Oh, can I say something real quick, Mike?
yeah, what's on your mind?
So they said they need season 2. They need all the people complain they need more time for like season 2, like to complete their battle pass.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think yeah.
no, this is my point. You know, there's a game currently out on the market called Halo Infinite that does battle passes. They're way too long, but hear me out.
Ugh.
You can go back and select the previous season to finish out the battle pass if you purchased it, and you're in
That's
the
a good
next
point.
season. I'm not gonna
Eh,
go into detail and explain why that is like that's really ironic considering how Halo Infinite's been. Regardless, though, like
Yeah,
we're
that's a good
talking
point.
Halo Infinite has this feature, and they can't even implement like a I want to say cross progression. That's not the right word, but like a backwards compatible progression. Like they can't even implement something like that. It's like, come on, man. But yeah, you describing that stuff, I now see why. It's crystal clear to me, Mike. You know.
Well, to be fair, I think Player First Games is kind of indie. They might be indie devs.
Yeah. Which they
So
have a small studio, I guess. Whatever. But
yeah, I think they actually do. Um, yeah, I don't know, man, but where I'm at right now is it's kind of unfortunate. I actually never got a chance to play it. I think I got on Brawlhalla and got absolutely bopped, and I was like, okay, well, we need to start doing some research because I hate losing at games. So when I get like when I load in and I just get destroyed immediately, I'm like, all right, this is a game I have to study and I'll come back.
yeah, no,
Sometimes I come back, sometimes I don't.
man.
Um, Overwatch, I got bopped. I studied. I came back. I'm kind of decent. League of Legends, I got bopped. I didn't do any research. I didn't come back, and that's where I stand.
Hmm. I'm still I still to this day have never played League of Legends. I'm trying to keep the streak alive. I don't know if I'll ever jump on that game. I'm gonna be honest, but
Dude, it's actually like a really cool game,
I mean, it
and
is.
it's
There's a huge community. It still pulls numbers, and
yeah.
I know. Just no interest, dude. I have Smite. Why would I need League when I got Smite, baby? You know what I'm
That's
saying?
a good point. One of my friends was streaming Smite the other night, and it looked amazing. I need to get on that game,
Telling you, it's fun.
but I think it's time we should move on. We
We've
talked about
exhausted it. We've
multiverses for a
exhausted
while
it.
because this next topic I'm very excited for. I think it's the one that I linked. I was just like, yo, check this
This
out.
is the one you linked. I somehow missed it. Well, there are. Mike, get this, dude. There's 5 Lord of the Rings games launching in
Oh
the
my
next 2
gosh, man.
years, 24 months,
Oh,
and
tell me all about them.
one remains a mystery. Embracer Group, the company that now owns the rights to Lord of the Rings video games by way of its purchase of Middle-earth Enterprises, has confirmed that a total of 5 Lord of the Rings video games will be released in the next 2 years. As part of Embracer's latest earnings briefing, the company said there are 5 titles in production with third-party partners that will be released in the next 24 months. The company did not name these titles outright, but they presumably include Lord of the Rings, Gollum of... I don't know Lord of the Rings, so you're going to have to help me with some of these names. Lord of the Rings, Return... What?
Daedalus?
Yeah, Daedalus. I'll say that. Lord of the
I
Rings,
think.
Return of Moira from Free Range Games, EA's mobile game, Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle-earth, and Weta's new title with GTA Company Take-Two. Very interesting stuff. There are 4 Lord of the Rings video games in development that we know about. A 5th could be rumored, a console port of Lord of the Rings Online, or it could be a different title that hasn't been announced yet. Embracer's post also stated only that these are new Lord of the Rings games in development from third-party developers. Whether or not Embracer has any new Lord of the Rings games in development from its network of internal studios is unknown. In any event, it's a good time to be a fan of Lord of the Rings and video games. Oh my gosh. It's crazy stuff, Mike, I must say.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Must say. Oh, wait, so I want to see what else here real quick. So it says the first of the group to launch, maybe Lord of the Rings Gollum, has been delayed numerous times already and is now scheduled to launch in April 2023 at the soonest. So they got some stuff closely in the pipeline. But yeah, dude, we got some Lord of the Rings games in the pipeline, Mike, which I believe we've discussed before, but I'll out myself real quick. Still have not seen Lord of the Rings movies, but
Yeah,
I
you're
feel
missing
like I
out,
feel
man.
like that's got to change, especially before these games come out. So I got a little bit of time, but not much. What do you think about all this, Mike? You know this stuff more than I do.
All right, first and foremost, let me ask you this. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
No,
Okay. So no Game of Thrones. You ever watch any Star Wars, I guess, would probably be another big pop culture kind of event.
you already know I watch Star Wars, baby. What kind of question
Okay.
is that?
All right. You're gonna you really need to watch Lord of the Rings. And the reason why you need to watch Lord of the Rings are probably the two reasons, and I'm gonna compare them to Star Wars and Game of Thrones. And there's really no comparison. The reason I say that is Lord of the Rings amount of depth in everything that's in the books and everything Tolkien has put together has been phenomenal, and it's probably some of the best writing in terms of like fantasy.
Okay.
In terms of like cultural impact, it's one of those things that I would recommend everybody plays or watches. It's like not knowing any Queen or Michael Jackson songs. You gotta know them at
Dang.
least, like, a little bit,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
it's a cultural thing in the world where you need to know Lord of the Rings. That is where I fundamentally stand. So,
Okay.
in terms of 5 new games coming, man, okay, this is what I want. There were games on the PlayStation and on the Xbox. They were called basically the remakes of the movies. Yeah, Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King was probably the best video game you can get for Lord of the Rings. There was the Two Towers as well, and most importantly, there was Shadow of Mordor, which was more of like an expansion off of the movies and the overall story. And dude, some of the stuff in those games are phenomenal. And also, it introduced me to RTS games. I think, yeah, real time strategy adaptation. They had the Battle of Middle Earth, where you had all these different like factions of different species of human, dwarves, elves, and they were all fighting amongst each other on this overall map. It was like such a cool online game. Probably one of the best EA games I played. It was so much
Yeah.
fun.
Okay.
Um, Top tier. Definitely got to look into it. All that to basically say there's a history, there's a proven track record, there's an overall story and world that is begging for more games. And it would be a total missed opportunity. Like, you know how like the Knights of the Old Republic is super popular for Star Wars?
Yeah.
There should be one of those for like Lord of the Rings. Like just to another level. Like the depth in the history of Star Wars, the depth in the history of Game of Thrones is nothing compared to Lord of the Rings.
Dang.
That's where I'm at.
So I think
So
Embracer should hire you, like just outright as hype man,
I
because
nah,
dude, you
oh,
say that
I
it's got me wanting to play, baby.
I
Dang.
mean, dude, you gotta get on the movies. I'm sorry. It
Yeah.
still holds up, man. I literally just watched it maybe every couple of months. Not every couple of months, sorry. A couple of months ago, every couple of years I'll watch it. And a couple of months ago I watched pretty much all of them all the way through again. I think it was on HBO or Netflix. I don't remember what platform, but binged it all the way through an entire week. Love it.
Yeah.
I
I
can't
probably
get
have a
enough to
platform that has them, or access to a platform that has them. So
guaranteed. And when you
there you
start
go.
learning the intricacies of the different characters, because each character has been alive for upwards of hundreds of years to 1,000 years. So some characters are like pretty much the elves are immortal. So there's so much depth that's there. And if I'm excited, man. I'm just excited. As you can tell, I'm geeking out. And I think anybody that knows Lord of the Rings should be excited or at least optimistic about what can possibly happen.
Dang, I mean, I don't know if I'm much else to add after that. I'm excited now. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, we're talking about different types of games here. Obviously, there's like a mobile game. But just seeing like these other, I mean, just seeing these other titles, it just seems at least without knowing anything, just kind of at face value, it seems like they'd be like story games of some sort. Which count me in, Mike. Give me a good story. I'm a sucker for them. So, I'm for sure down to check them out. But yeah, it sounds like I got some homework to do with the movies though, just to get immersed in the world and get me excited for these games that are to come. And hopefully, there's some good games coming out of the Embracer group here.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best. I was a little bit disappointed over Amazon's take of the Lord of the Rings franchise. I still watched it, but it was painful because I was watching that and watching House of the Dragon at the same time. So it was like good writing, good acting, good visuals, and then I come over and it's like okay writing, terrible visuals. I hate the acting
Oh man,
over at Lord of the Rings. So, um,
yeah, it's rough.
or the Rings of Power is what it was called. But yeah, man, I think it's looking good. I think this is something to be very optimistic about in terms of fantasy coming to video games. So,
All right, you said it, dude. And
mhm.
yeah, I leave the article at that. I don't have too much else to add. I'm just looking forward to what could come of these. I think, and just hoping for some good Lord of the Rings games. Like you said, they need that. I feel like you need that staple game. You just
They
don't
do.
really have it. So hopefully this is one of them.
Yeah, all the other games are kind of old. Like Shadow of Mordor is more of a single player game, and they just need something a little bit more of an anchor. But let's go ahead and jump into the next article, which is something I know you picked out and you're excited for.
Sir.
I'm excited to see your take on it. So this article is from The Verge. It's by Jay Peters. It actually came out a handful of days ago. So the long-delayed Dead Island 2 is launching a week sooner. I'm calling cap, but
That's what we're here to talk about, Mike, because I have some takes on this as well. But
yeah.
read
All right, let's get into it. So the zombie slaying sequel will now be released April 21st. I would not be surprised if it actually said April 1st, to be honest.
it.
Okay. If you've been waiting for Dead Island 2, the zombie fighting game that was first announced in 2014,
Oof. Oof.
9 years ago, got trapped in development hell, emerged again on February 3rd, release date in June, and then was delayed in April 28th to April 28th. I have some good news. The game is actually going to come out a bit sooner. Dead Island 2 has gone gold. It will now be released a week earlier on April 21st. Deep Silver announced on Monday. Sheesh. So they basically went on, Deep Silver, the developer, went on and basically said, you asked for it, you got it. And they went gold. It's coming out a week early. See you in Hella.
LA, because it's LA
Oh,
based.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
LA. Yeah.
Hella, yeah. Hella on April 21st, 2023. So, how do you feel about it, man? But let's mention to the viewers real quick. It's going to be on Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, PS5, 4, and PC with the Epic games. So,
Yeah.
is it going to get delayed again?
I'm
Move it
see.
up,
Look,
delay it
I'm
back?
not so much worried about it getting delayed again. I just have so many like concerns here because like for one, it's just like I feel like it's kind of like I don't want to say backhanded compliment. That's not the right thing, but I feel like it's just kind of like a backhanded announcement of like, hey, we delayed it all the way to here, but since you gave us so much money, we're gonna just like take off a week of development that we probably could use or need that we may not even have needed in the first place if we're willing to take that back. Because I feel like this is a part of the plan, right? They're like, all right, well, let's delay it to here, but we really don't need this much time. So like, if the fans speak and they pre-order the game and they get us to a certain like milestone, which honestly, I mean, this is the thing, Mike. Dead Island 2 has been an ongoing thing for so long. It was going to hit golden pre-orders. It just was. Like there's no way it wasn't because this has been it's been development hell for, how many years now. It was going to happen. So, I'm a little like it's a little almost like insulting to just be like, all right, here we're delaying it here, but like they purposely gave this like padding to the to the release window just so they could, just take it back a little bit and do that. Like, don't get me wrong, we're getting the game a week sooner, but like if you've had so many issues with getting the game out, it's like just like stick to. I'm like, my philosophy is just stick to a release date and do it. I mean, and like I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. We've seen games. I think Cyberpunk really put the whole industry into perspective, saying like you can delay a game a bunch, but it could still release like crap. Hogwarts Legacy is the most recent iteration of if you delay a game 2 times, it like
It better be good.
you can prove that you can still make a solid product even after delaying it a lot, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm hoping Dead Island 2 is at. But like, I mean, I'm not like offended or anything. I just think it's just so like just kind of weird energy to me to be like, hey, we made so much money, we're gonna like take back a week of when we said it was gonna come out. Still excited for the game. Still gonna play the game, of course, but just a little weird. I don't know. That's my overall take.
I think my take is somewhat similar. It's I'm a little bit jaded recently because of the Halo Infinite stuff. But during the development cycle of Halo Infinite, they lost like 3 studio heads, brought in various different people from the old Bungie era games, and trying to like save face. And this is also a company that had a very bad track record of releasing unfinished products. And no matter what they said, I didn't fully believe them or trust them that they were going to be able to finish properly. And I think I'm I'm at the same level with Dead Island now. Not that it's going to launch as broken as Halo Infinite did, but just it's been 9 years, man, and they've reported it went through what, like 3 or 4 different studios, like developers, not just like
I
single
don't know.
people. It's like it's literally switching companies multiple times. I think there's still a market for the game. I kind of wish it didn't make gold. I don't know how you
Yeah,
feel. I think
dude.
the years of doing this like pre-order and signing up well in advance. I mean, you can't be doing that anymore. Not with AAA studios. Like they
I'm
just release broken crap now, and they do it
yeah.
on purpose. And they're like, here's a live action game, and then we'll update it once every 5 months, and then we'll give you a couple little trinkets of like good cosmetics. And by the way, we'll collab with a different developer to put it into a different game. It's like that's not a live service, bro. That's just you not doing your job.
Like, it's so
Like,
true, man. Dude, I don't know. It's obviously it's case by case. We can't predict how
yeah,
this game's gonna turn out. There's so many studios. I mean, it definitely doesn't help with this that this game has been flipped between so many studios. But
that's the red flag for me, man.
right, but also at the same time, there's been games that have stayed within the same wheelhouse, stayed within the same
Yeah,
thing, and they just can't get it right. And it's like
you ain't wrong.
it just depends. Like, there's no. As much as I hate to say it, I feel like there's no definitive way to tell if a game's gonna flop or not until like review week. Like that's like and like,
But even then, man,
but
even then,
see, this is the thing. I don't advocate for pre-ordering, but like
yeah,
the only circumstances I really pre-order games is like I'm talking like a couple days before it comes out, after I've read the reviews and after I see what people are saying. That's when I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'll pre-order at this point. This game is 2 months out, and it's already going gold. It's like
yeah,
it's like, because they're all in the studio, like, and I'm not saying this is who they are. Like, I'm not saying this is not trying to talk bad on developers, but like, there's it kind of like it could boost your confidence if you see like, oh, this game we're working on, by the way, we haven't even put it out, it's already sold enough copies to get gold certified. Like, we're chilling. Like,
yeah.
how much do we really have to put in terms of testing and bug fixing? We don't know.
Is that just more money they got to spend?
Exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. In some cases, it could probably promote laziness. Not saying that's necessarily what's going on, because we don't know what's going on at their studio. But that's and the industry has gotten to the point where that is where my head goes whenever I see these like, oh, our game is gold, but it's like 3 months out. That's where my head goes. It's like, okay, I hope they don't lose their way and get an ego, and then it just ruins the launch. But maybe I'm pessimistic.
No, I don't think you're pessimistic. I think it's unfair to say maybe they've like lost motivation or they think it's already a success when it
Right.
hasn't fully been released.
Yeah.
But I think that might be a little unfair because people, I feel like if you're working as a developer, good developers at least, and good designers and engineers, you're probably trying to do the best you possibly can because it's an artistic expression. So you don't want
Right.
to. Nobody's going to be proud of trash unless like you just don't like the company you're working for and you don't like the people you're working underneath. That's like a different story. But I think you don't do this industry unless you enjoy it. You know.
Yeah.
So I do think there's just a big red flag. I got to give them props though because Skull and Bones. I don't think that game's ever coming out, and those were both announced around the same time and have both
No.
been going through the same level of hell. So, the final thought that I want to leave with on this, my final take is if you move the deadline up a week, that game better not have bugs because there's zero reason to move it forward if you can't deliver.
It's the thing, dude. They I mean they have to deliver. I mean, it's
Yeah.
okay to have a couple bugs here and there, but if there's anything game breaking, it's like you just have to
You're
shake
gonna
your
get
head.
clowned on. You're
Yeah.
gonna get clowned on. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
If somebody gets the game, like a reviewer, whoever gets the game earlier, a critic, and they notice game breaking bugs, it's like, why didn't you use the extra week to try to fix it?
No.
Why didn't you push it again? Like, what is it because you made your money and you know you can't finish a good product, so you're just gonna give us a broken beta? You
That's the
know?
thing. Dude, what heaven forbid, worst case scenario, this gets delayed again. The circus is in town, Mike. I'm sorry. Like
Oh my
it's just dude,
gosh.
it's the circus is in town, dude. Oh my
Dude,
gosh.
I
Let's hope
was
not.
let's just talk about this real quick because this is kind of like a AAA studio doing this. I was watching a couple YouTube videos today and listening to them, podcasting and stuff. The breakdown between what AAA studios concentrate on and what indie devs concentrate on, and what makes them fundamentally different. And all the best games that when we were like growing up or like first generation games that were super successful and then became franchises and like AAA studios. The first game, if you look at it, it was like always a small team. They were an indie studio and they were chasing the fun. Like
Yeah.
they were doing whatever they could. It wasn't about the money. It was about creating something that they enjoyed and something that was fun to play. Think about that with literally any first game ever, like Halo
Yeah.
CE, Years of War, Call of Duty. Like that's all that mattered.
Elder Scrolls.
And now, yeah, Elder Scrolls, yeah, like literally all of them, Red Dead Redemption, like Grand Theft Auto, like like just the very first ones is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, and as like what switched is like the AAA studios started concentrating on what can make them money to stay like employed, to meet metrics, to meet like global sales or whatever, because they're a AAA studio that's backed by a developer or publisher that is on the stock market, right?
Yeah.
So like the motivations are different, and I think when I heard that said, I was just like, it's all like clicks immediately, right? It's like I think the only things worth trusting right now are like unironically like indie studios.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean there's still great AAA releases, but I think if we look at the really great releases, I feel like are not like unfortunately are not like the Activisions or like those size of studios. It's like,
Yeah,
a AAA studio that's still relatively maintained, in terms of like
yeah.
population and
You
because I
know,
mean
you
I
know, a
think
case in point.
yeah.
Sorry to
No,
interrupt.
you're good.
Last year, who won Game of the Year? Not Elden Ring, the one before.
The one
Hades.
before Hades.
Hades.
Yeah.
That's an indie game. That's an indie developer.
Yeah.
Like case in point, right there, man.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think about too, God of War. That game was near
yes,
spotless, but it's like Sony Santa Monica. It's like don't think it's a huge studio, which I think is comes to it. It has its advantage, right? Because they can just they have who they need, and they just make a good game. And they tested it and made sure it was a complete package because there was like hardly any bugs in that game, which is very hard to do nowadays. So it's like, yeah, it's still possible. But yeah, I mean, I think the larger studios in the AAA space, that's where I think there's probably too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak.
yeah. It's
So
like
yeah,
victims of their own success.
yeah, For sure, dude. For sure. Well, we have one more article, Mike. The top
Yeah.
story. Top story
Yes.
of the week. This dropped on Thursday as we're recording this. Not breaking news, but you know what happened today. YouTube CEO Susan, the GOAT, steps down after
Yeah.
9 years at the helm.
Employee number what? 7? What'd she say in that Ludwig interview?
Oh yeah, I don't even remember.
She was employed like in the teens at the latest. Like
Yeah,
she's there forever. Yeah, go ahead. Let's get into it. Let's figure out what's going on.
I don't know how to spell Susan's last name. I'm sorry, Susan. We upload this podcast
Which
to your platform, and I have no idea how to pronounce your last name. Anyway, or it used to be your platform. YouTube CEO Susan is stepping down from her post. She announced in an email sent to employees that YouTube posted publicly on Thursday, today at the time of recording this. She's been with Google for nearly 25 years, but will be stepping back to start a new chapter focused on my family, health, and personal projects I'm passionate about. Neil Mohan, currently YouTube's chief product officer, will be taking over as head of the video streaming service. After serving as Google's senior vice president of display and video ads for many years, Mohan joined YouTube in 2015 and has been one of Susan's primary lieutenants ever since. According to Susan, Mohan played pivotal roles in the development of several YouTube products, including YouTube TV, YouTube Music, Premium, and Shorts, and also led the company's trust and safety team. In the near term, Susan will be supporting Mohan and assisting with the transition. Longer term, she'll hold a advisory role across Google and Alphabet. It'll allow me to call on my different experiences over the years to offer counsel and guidance across Google and the portfolio of Alphabet companies. Her history with Google actually predates her official employment at the company. She rented out garage space to founders Sergey Brin and Larry Page in 1998. She officially started at Google in 99. When Brin and Page began building a search engine and eventually helped encourage the company to buy YouTube in 2006. She became CEO of YouTube in 2014. A lot of history there at the Google Alphabet company. But yeah, I think I mean, I don't know. I gotta hear your thoughts first, Mike. What do you think about all this? I mean, I think it's very unfortunate, but I think I don't think it's in malice, so to speak. I think it seems like a personal leave.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's definitely a personal leave. Like she's been with Google for 25 years. That's a really long time.
Yeah.
And if you're that high up, I mean, she hasn't had to work, I would say, in close to 10, really. Like if you're
Yeah.
that you rented out a space to the freaking founders, man. Like
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
nuts, dude.
yeah, I think and she's been CEO of YouTube since 2014. A lot of people don't know this, man. Like see like YouTube almost imploded a few years ago.
Straight up.
And she was like a vital point for that being successful and being profitable. I don't exactly understand why. Did you know that there are some people that are like they don't like her at all? They don't like the changes she's made to YouTube.
Yeah, I mean with a product like YouTube and as big as it is, yeah, you're gonna it's gonna be polarizing for sure.
That's true. I think the big thing that I saw was like they don't like the advertising. They don't like the algorithm, the YouTube recommendations, the shorts, which is the weirdest one that I saw. They don't like shorts.
It's weird.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like a different era of people, maybe, of what like YouTube used to be. YouTube a long time ago was kind of wild. It was like the
It was
wild
the
west of
wild,
content
literally.
creation.
It was the Wild West.
Yeah, it was nuts. Anything goes. And when Google bought YouTube and implemented her as CEO, it was basically like it became more of a structured thing. Maybe you know what they could possibly be upset about is the copyright issues,
Yeah.
the child content. Remember when like pretty much anything that was advertised to kids, so like toy reviews, like children's toy reviews, would be advertised for kids, and that became a big issue and like got flagged and became no more profitable. I can understand people having animosity in that way. But overall, like the interviews I always saw with her, she seemed very in touch, understanding of her product and the content creators, try to implement and make things successful on YouTube for content creators. Like they now monetize YouTube Shorts. Like that interview,
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody that's a content creator, and I've seen people on YouTube that are happy that she's leaving. are they can dislike her if they watch Ludwig's interview with her, where he
Yep.
basically like starts saying, "I got some issues with YouTube live streaming," and he just starts listing everything, and then like some of the things she was just like, "Oh, I didn't know that." He goes, "Well, have somebody get on that," and then she stares at the camera of like,
Yeah.
"My employees are going to be watching this,"
Yep.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
It was like it's kind of cool, man. I don't know. I'm not. I think it's like it's an area of change for her. It's probably good for her. Obviously, a personal choice. No animosity. Doesn't
Yep.
seem like, but yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Um.
This is
Yeah.
big news, though.
I mean, it is big news. I think at the end of the day, especially after seeing interviews with her, obviously, everyone on camera is probably a little different than they are in real life. But from what I saw,
Fair
from
point.
what I saw in her interviews, I mean, any of these changes, whether it's due like any arguments against like ads and stuff like that, I think it's just the way. It's honestly just the way the industry kind of moved, and they realized like it was really brought to a forefront that like that apocalypse and all that stuff. I think it was gonna happen sooner or later. Like there was. I don't think there's any
Yeah.
way around that because like if any company saw the ads, saw the videos that their ads were being pushed to, I mean, I'd be surprised if they weren't like, this is a red flag. Why is it being shown on this? So like seriously, wouldn't it doesn't surprise me in that regard. Um, so I mean, but I think most of the stuff like that, it wasn't Susan's fault. It's just she's unfortunately. It's unfortunate if you are the CEO, if you are leading the helm, a lot of the blame's going to get pushed onto you. I think for
That's
the
a
most
good
part.
point.
Which I mean, for certain companies, I mean that's that probably is the case. Probably is the person to blame. I know. I mean, there's been tons of people that have that have had pushback against him at Sheer, Twitch's CEO, for rightful reasons. I mean, it's granted it's a smaller company, so there's probably more justification to push on a CEO like that. But I mean, dude, YouTube is it's such a big platform. There's a lot going on. It's Google. Like,
Yeah.
there's I think there's a lot of different people that could be to blame, quote unquote, for like what could be going on, especially in the ad realm and all that. I mean, overall, I mean, there's and granted, I know some creators are pissed off because they can't make the content they want to make because it flags their videos as just not
Yeah. Brand
advertise
friendly.
not brand friendly
Yeah.
and advertisable. So I understand that. Um, but I mean, it's for the people that are able to benefit from ads and all that. I mean, YouTube has that stuff down to the point where if you make the right content, you do the right things, like YouTube's gonna pay you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So and like
Yeah. That's a good point.
they got a lot of money to give, especially in the advertising space. So there's money to be made. You may just have to change up your formula a little bit, but
You know, that made me think like the one fair criticism that they can definitely get is they make widespread decisions. Well, they make decisions that impact everybody on the platform, including people that are just watching, by changing the algorithm. And they don't tell you how the algorithm changes. I don't think they actually understand how the algorithm changes because it's more of like it's all based on artificial intelligence, so
yeah,
it's constantly changing.
right,
Um, and the next bit is like when they change the rules of service or like the regulations, they'll just randomly be like, okay, you can't say this specific word anymore. And then all of a sudden, like your entire 100 past videos of ages ago are now flagged or taken
yeah,
down, and you'll get strike or people doing false strikes on copyright claiming there's somebody else. I mean, those are real issues,
right, yeah,
and I think only with time are they going to get better and get rid of that. But I do feel like there's so many things that her team has done. Like, dude, just one thing that they've done. I've rarely ever seen Twitch or a comparable. Nobody really compares to YouTube, but you know what I'm saying. They have like they have videos and breakdowns of how to properly advertise yourself, how to do correct videos, what's popular, how to create thumbnails. They like do everything one for one of how you should do it. Now, granted, you can go learn it better from somebody else on YouTube, but
yeah,
like YouTube, the company itself, is like, hey, this is how we do things here. This is the culture. This is like what other program, what other platform does that? Like,
yeah.
not many.
Yeah, not many. I mean, the whole algorithm argument. There's the algorithms are so complex and so vast, and again, they
Yes.
probably involve like AI and these neural networks and whatnot. I mean, there's a lot involved with it. no one's ever going to be able to determine what exactly needs to happen because there's just simply no way to. Like I genuinely think it's probably like mentally impossible. Like there's obviously certain things you can do to benefit your videos and whatnot, but I mean, yeah, that's a whole other argument, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I think I'm curious to see. It seems like hiring within to the CEO is probably the right move. They're just moving someone else up the chain, which I think is the right way to go about it. And it seems like that person's been, Mohan's been very involved, Neil Mohan, in a lot of the products that YouTube has created that have been very profitable for the platform over the recent years. So
no kidding. YouTube TV, music, premium, and shorts. Shorts is probably the biggest one.
Yeah, for real. He's been heavily involved, so I think YouTube's in good hands. I don't know. I mean, I can only wish Susan the best because I know it probably was a hard decision, but it seems like it was something that needed to be made, and she about to do her own thing, kill it,
Yeah. Well, GG's, honestly. Had a great run.
GG's.
I wonder if she'll start her own project. I would imagine so. It'll be cool to see. It'll be really cool to see.
Yeah, it will, for real, man. It'll be very, very cool, huh?
Yeah. Well, I know that's all the articles we have for this week, is it not?
It is,
but
sure is.
I know you need to tell us something about Hogwarts Legacy.
I do. Yeah, don't want to spend too much time on it. Just get my overall.
I want to hear it, man.
Overall impressions. Let me actually find. Want to find the initial the initial video I took.
Oh, you actually have receipts?
Oh yes.
You took some videos of everything?
Yeah,
I know you've been recording again, which is always good to see.
Yeah, just record. I don't know why. I feel like I can't not record my single player gameplay, even though I may or may not use it. I mean, I just like recording it.
Yeah, as long as you have it, you never know.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I can pull that footage in the future if I ever. It's like good content. Anyway, but yeah, I think. Just see here. Just flip over. I want you to be able to see it too, if possible. Anyway.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Dude, that's
anyways. So yeah. So anyways, Hogwarts Legacy. I'm 10 hours in. I just want to talk a little about the game. I'm really enjoying the game. This is what I'm showing now is from the character creation. I tried to be as close to my look as I could. I mean, there's
nice. I
don't know. I'm way paler than that, but anyway, tried to get as close as I could. Character customization. Overall, I liked it. I wish there was some more options. It definitely isn't as complex as a lot of other games, I think.
Yeah, fair.
But I think overall there's still a lot you can customize.
Dead Space or it's not Andromeda. What game is it? It's like some legendary game that has like a crazy customizable like options for facial features and stuff.
I don't know.
Like you can make a 1-for-1 replication of your face.
Yeah, for some reason
Kinda
Cyberpunk
nuts.
comes to mind, but I don't think it's Cyberpunk. But yeah, I mean, I'll try and skip ahead a little bit. Just to, like show some I really want to show like I want to show combat. Let me see if I can. No, that's not it. This one.
So is there an overall villain that approaches this game that you have to defeat, or is it mostly like a role-playing game where you're doing character growth and exploring and like little tasks here and there?
So it's mostly just a role-playing game of sorts. I think there's I think there's some good combat in this. Might have been the next one. This is mainly a role-playing game. I don't think there's like, to my knowledge, there's not like an overall arching enemy. Like you're not like going after Voldemort or something.
Oh no, definitely not. I know that this is like way, way, way in the past, right?
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely like none of that. But there is yeah, it's pretty cool. So you can get your wand and stuff. Like you get all that pretty early on in the game. There's a lot of options here, whether it's like the wood type of wood you use, the color of the wood and stuff like that. I don't know if I don't know enough about the Harry Potter universe to know like what wood would fit my personality, if that's a thing. Like, but
yeah, the wand chooses you.
Yeah, there's a lot of wood types though. Like pretty much anything you can think
there really is.
Yeah, you can customize the length. It's a lot about the wand you can customize, which is pretty dope. Yeah, and you may notice that sometimes I have I have an ancient machine. All right, it's a Ryzen 1700X. It's a 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old processor at this point. 1080 Ti. I'm actually upgrading soon. Super excited about that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so hopefully I may be able to get a little bit more out of my 1080 Ti. But I'm upgrading the CPU. I'm going to be upgrading the GPU in the future, so I'm very excited about that stuff. But at least from what I noticed, I mean, I'm on like I think like medium-ish settings. It's kind of what I'm on. But I still was definitely dropping below 60 FPS in a lot of like high populated areas and like certain combat sequences and stuff like that. So I mean that was something I did notice. I mean probably recording may not, it may have a little bit of an effect on performance, but I mean overall I think it was something I did actually notice that yeah, it was certainly not the PC
Like super
definitely
sluggish and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely suffered a little
I
bit.
can see it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you can see. I mean, it's just one of the combat sequences. I mean, combat in this game is super fun. I really enjoy it. I think there's a lot of spells to learn, and
Oh my gosh.
you can get really creative with what you do, and like throw stuff, and like dodging is super important. And yeah, it's like it looks like a lot of fun. So, and trust me, it is a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I really love combat there. Something I enjoy. I don't know how it's gonna fare late game, if it's gonna get stale at all. It hasn't gotten stale for me yet. So
Yeah.
here's to hoping late game it doesn't fall off. But right now I'm enjoying that. Yeah, so this was like the first, because like you see the health bar, this is almost like it looks like a phase boss in a sense. Like it's kind of just has like 3 different sections. But yeah, I mean this kind of the first like big boss battle I guess you really encounter. I've encountered only like one serious boss battle since. Nothing super challenging though. If anything, the only time I found like it's been like smaller battles where I've had to like actually restart the fight a bunch of times because I just end up like getting like crapped on. But I mean, it's kind of weird that I think it's ironic that like the huger battles I found actually like relatively easier to like get a hold of and figure out. But yeah, I've certainly been challenged. A lot of stuff. There was one section where I was fighting a giant spider, and it was like way ahead of me in level. And I kept, but like I was determined. I was like, I'm gonna beat this giant like spider because like he's annoying. And so I went, and so I like tried to beat him. Gave it like 8 or 9 attempts, and then I actually just ran past it because I realized I could, and I was like, dude, I can't. Like I literally just like 200 level for this, I think. So there was only one time where I seriously like gave up a combat encounter. But other than that, I mean, everything I've been wanting to engage in more in more like, I don't know why this is like acting like that. Windows player is weird. But yeah, there's for the most part, like if I actually find a challenge in like a combat encounter, like even if I fail a few times, I still like try as many times as I can to actually like win. So
Oh yeah.
it's definitely fun
You
in
have to.
that regard. Yeah, again, very rewarding stuff. The world is massive. I don't even. There was one of these clips, which it's not related. But there was like one. There was like one of these clips where it was where I actually had. I like pulled up the map, and this is like 8 hours in, mind you, Mike. So I'm like I'm pulling up the map, and like I'm like looking at it, I'm like, dang, like there's really still a lot to explore. And then I zoomed out. This is a very big world and I did not realize until like a good like 6 to 8 hours in. Yeah, it was one of these that if I find it I'll show the people, but yeah. Oh yeah, can fly. Look
Yeah,
at
it's
that, you
pretty
can
cool.
fly.
Be on a broom.
Yeah, flying's really fun in this game. Flying, I love the broom mechanics. I think it's pretty dope. Yeah, it makes exploring the world fun. Makes it less tedious, which is one thing. There was at one point I was forgetting I had a broom, so I'm like running around, but then it hit me like, wait a minute, I have a mount essentially that I could just like
Yeah.
I can fly at any point. But and I say mount, there actually are like legitimate mounts, like beasts and animals that you can actually
that's
use for
pretty
flight.
cool.
I haven't seen any of that yet or encountered that, but that is a thing. Not far enough along in yet for that. I'm just doing a broom, but that stuff's fun. Yeah, just I mean the world is interesting. I mean, I'm just walking around, like I'll just be like I'll get sidetracked a lot and just like see like, oh, there's like a village here, like, hey, there's like a castle here, let me explore it, that kind of thing. Which that's where the RPG really comes out and shines, I think, the most in this game. It's like, oh, I just get
Yeah.
distracted and then go off and do something. That's been a lot of fun. That's been very interesting. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's at least right now, I'm 10 hours in, and I can't wait to play like 30, 40 more. So I mean, that's pretty good.
That's cool.
It's holding my attention. It's pretty fun. Yeah, customization stuff like that too. I mean, you see, I mean, I'm showing the gear screen here. I mean, you see in this screen, there's something I didn't realize until a little bit later was that because like I was getting all this really good gear, right? But I put it on, I'm like, this looks ugly. Like, I do not like this. And so I realized you can actually at any point change the appearance of any item. So
Oh, that's amazing.
if you want to use a different skin, or if you just want to use no skin and just have like for instance gloves, if I just want to use my hand, like if I just want my hands to show, no gloves, I can set that at any point. So like that stuff's really cool. It's, again, adds to the customization, adds to, you know, kind of making the character your own, which I love. And I was really glad I found that out, because like a lot of these skins, I was just like, dude, this just throws off the outfit. You know what I'm saying? I can't be fashionable. So
It's all about having fashion when it comes to that.
saying, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just murked that wolf.
dude.
Holy
Oh
crap.
man, some of the spells are so good. Yeah, it's fun just like picking up enemies, like bringing them to you, or just like throwing them away, and like using fire spells and burning them. Like, it's a lot
You're
of fun.
savage.
It is very fun. But yeah, the one thing I will say, the game doesn't have Quidditch. We knew it wasn't gonna have Quidditch.
Yeah.
The way they do it in the story, I think, like, it was like kind of very basic. It's like at the beginning of the game when you first get to Hogwarts, you go in to like right before you select the house you're in. The headmaster is like, by the way, there was I think he says something like, there was like an accident or there was something unexpected, so we're not having Quidditch this year. And like everyone in the school's like, oh, but like in the back of my head, I'm just like, this is how they write off Quidditch. This is how they do it. But yeah. So who knows? I would love to see either DLC expansion of Quidditch or a Quidditch standalone game. I think it'd be bad. I think it'd be amazing, you know?
That could be pretty cool. There's a lot of potential for it. There's a lot of people that are obsessed with Quidditch, man. There are people that play Quidditch IRL in colleges. So
Dude.
it's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's also puzzles and stuff. I mean, there's some puzzles too where you essentially have like portals, and if you travel through them, it changes the room and the environment. So like you have to travel through it a certain way to actually like solve the riddles and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I showcase it, I think, a little bit here, but it's kind of like, you see there's a platform there, but if I travel through it this way and I look back, there's like no platform, and it's like only through like the portal. So
Oh wow.
there's a lot of those kind of puzzles where you kind of have to go back and forth. It reminds me of I think God of War did some stuff like this that I really loved, where it was like, you know, you had through the different like kind of grass archways, if you went through them a certain way, it changed the environment. So it's kind of a way to manipulate and figure out what works. But yeah, God of War did this really well. This game does it really well, so I love that. But yeah, overall, 10 hours in, enjoying the game, excited to play more. I'm gonna be grinding this game for God knows how long. There's a lot of content. I've only explored like I think like 5%, 10% of the world according to the game. So there's a lot. There's a lot.
I saw somebody's tweet and they said something like they played 23 hours and they've only gotten to like 30% of the game completion.
Something like that. Yeah, I think I saw some guy that was like 60 something. It's like ridiculous.
Jesus
And he's like,
Christ.
yeah, I've only he's like, I'm not even level 30 yet. Like, I've had like 60 hours. I'm like, jeez. But yeah, I ain't got that kind of time right now, unfortunately. But every
It'll keep
time
you
I
busy, though.
every time I get an opportunity to play, I've been playing recently. So hoping to keep that streak going and until I beat the game. Very good
Perfect, man.
stuff.
I'm excited for you. I know I'm going to be getting into some single player games coming up. I intend to finish that Xbox mod, have that completely done. I might actually work on that a little bit tonight, depending on if it's easy, if I can get it to work. I think I have to reset my computer to do that because I have to actually like plug in the SATA, plug in the power connector and everything. So probably don't want to do that while the computer's running.
Probably not.
Yeah, I'll check that kind of stuff out. I need to make a list of all the games that I intend on completing. I think that's gonna be my goal for the year. There are plenty of games that I really want to finish. that I even have installed like on my computer that I have not gotten to yet. And it's actually pretty embarrassing. Like, I'll pull this up right now. Like, one of the games that I need to get on is, why is my thing all messed up? It's not shown because it's not installed anymore, but at one point it was. It's a single player horror game that came out like 3 years ago, and I've been waiting on for ages. It's like there's so many games on Game Pass now, like Scorn. I wanted to get to Scorn at some point. I wanted to get to
True.
Elden Ring at some point, and then what ends up happening is I got stuck into esports, and like that consumed all my free time. But now it's like, well, I'm pretty much done after next week. It's like, so we
True.
got the podcast, my own personal streaming of whatever I want to do and content creation, and then playing games that I want to play. So that's gonna be my future for 2023, and I'm looking forward to it, to be honest.
Love to hear it. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, with like Atomic Hearts is on my radar. I think too for next week. I mean, that's another game I want to play. That's coming out on Game Pass. So
yeah, I
there's a
found it.
lot coming out.
Those Who Remain. That's the
Those
game I
Who
wanted to
Remain.
get to. Yep,
Interesting.
nice,
Interesting.
nice little horror game.
Yeah.
It's been out for a minute as well. They've been updating it periodically, sort of putting on. It was like an indie game almost, basically. I digress, though. I think that pretty much covers up this week in review, don't you?
Think so.
All right. I don't know what else to say. I mean, this has been episode 6. We're into the new season. We appreciate everybody listening. We are now going to be on Sirius XM. It's something I found out right before this podcast. So I got to double check that to make sure it goes live. It usually takes a couple of days. So if we can get on that platform, that'd be pretty awesome. I think that's like one of the most widely streamed platforms in the world, actually, for
Yeah.
subscription
Yeah.
purposes. So it'd be kind of cool to see that happen. But without further ado, we do have links in the description every single time. We have timestamps for the topics, always in the description. It's easiest to see on YouTube and Spotify and Anchor. I did notice there are some formatting issues on other platforms, but the information's all there. And if you want to reach us, we have Twitters, we have Discord, we have everything. Follow the Twitter account. We need to post more on there, Kyle.
Yeah, we do.
That's
We're
that's
lacking.
another goal, man. Yeah, there's some hot takes I want to make, and I'm just like, I can make it on the personal account, but maybe we should start doing it on the podcast account. So
Every now and again, just throw it out there, you know.
yeah, why not? Have a good time. Well, without further ado, we'll let you guys go. Thank you for listening. This has been the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony, my co-host, Kyle Heath. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.